I think it was always the case that we wanted to try something dramatic. We wanted to be known for doing lots of different things, and drama was just sort of top of the list. That's why we put the show first. But we deliberately made the shows lighter as the evening went on, so that people left a bit happier. Aye. And the last one was a lot more funny than the first one. First one was really dramatic. It was meant to be dramatic. We wanted to make a statement.
Yeah, I think it's also good because obviously doing the different genres like kind of showcases us as actors as well. We're not just sort of like one trick pony or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Which
was a major consideration in doing the 3 short plays, all with different, distinct tones.
I think out of all the plays that was maybe the one that's made the biggest social statement.
Yeah, it had a lot of social...
it had a lasting effect on the audience. I think like my mum came out of it and she was still
my friend was crying
and talking about it. Yeah, a lot of people were crying in the audience.
There was a lot of comments after it as well about how it should be made into a sort of advert idea for like for like social services to use and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it touched a lot of people.
It was nice as a writer to have that as well. Do you know what I mean? That first show was as well received as it was, but it couldn't have been anything without the acting that was going on involved.
It had a really big impact on the audience.
Yeah. I think, like you say, a lot of people really responded to that because it's a human interest thing. We read the newspapers and stuff like that's going on sadly every day.
If there's a true life element, I think it's always it kind of hits home a bit more, doesn't it?
Especially when there was a lot of parents in the audience as well. Even if their children are up and like your mother for you.
Oh well, I mean, I'm 33 years old and my mum still treats me like I'm made of glass and 4 years old. Do you know what I mean?
Any parent could relate to that. So
absolutely.
It was quite emotional for all the cast. I don't know, it must have been more so for you, Eilidh, but I mean, I even felt it, and I was like a kind of small role, maybe a kind of punctuation mark in it. You know, myself, Elsie, and
the secondary characters were just as important. I thought because they provided insight and commentary and the different perspectives.
And there are those sort of secondary characters in the real life stories as well.
Absolutely.
The people that see it and aren't directly involved with it, and it's just as important.
The people that you see getting interviewed on the news, talking about people in a sort of indirect way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The moment where you screamed "Mum" when you were getting dragged off the stage is the one that really sticks out.
Everyone just kind of went.
We were all like. Hearts were in our mouths.
It was silent for a while after that, and it's not often that we're silent as a group.
No, this is very true. Because it did have such an impact. And you came out and you were like, "What's going on? Scene finished." And we were like, "No, we're just all like shaking."
Yeah.
And it was really funny because it basically was probably the first instance where what wasn't on the page escalated the story and made it so much better.
I think this is also when TSUK really came together because we've all worked separately with each other. Like this was the first show where I'd worked with you, and I'd worked with Jackie and other shows as well. So I think that show and that scene especially with TSUK all gelled together and it became the Soupies.
Yes.
Oh, and it was my 19th birthday during rehearsals one day, and Dale brought in a cake and everyone sang to me, so that was a really nice moment.
And amongst all that dark drama.
I know.
We got cake.
No, television, cake, lovely. Oh, well, there's a couple of people that are either not with the company anymore because they've gone on to do other things, or they're just not here today, but to sort of give out some shout outs. Louise, who was playing your alcoholic mother, was absolutely brilliant in that show. She was really good. I mean, she was probably one of the standouts in that particular, apart from yourself. You guys were really brilliant as well, though, because we brought you in to play sort of comedy neighbours, 2 old grannies that lived next door, and you could hear everything through the walls.
Nosy neighbours, curtain twitching style.
Yeah. But once again...
Which has a ring of truth to it, but it was also like a little kind of comic break as well. It was sort of...
It was a commentary as well, I think, because how many people probably think that stuff like that's going on, don't do anything but talk amongst themselves about it.
Yeah.
And it's probably something that, if we're all a little bit honest with ourselves, we'll probably gossip about other people without thinking, oh, there's something
could be serious.
Yeah. So there was a relatable element to the characters. So when everybody was cast, yes, you were cast to be comic characters, but that was to offset how dramatic it was going to get, which was really important. And I'd seen you as a dramatic actress as well, and I knew that you'd be able to handle the weight of that particular role.
I think also facially I probably can pass for a bit younger than I actually am. I've got quite a baby face. So
she's actually 14.
So that might have helped towards the casting as well. Especially with my bunches and my
Oh
school
yeah,
uniform.
the school uniform.
I did
the
like about
teddy,
12. Oh my god, yeah, I had a teddy bear.
and the bag of
Yeah.
sweets.
Oh.
Memories. I think we were really surprised because we all wanted the shows to individually do well, and we all thought that as a whole they would probably be well received. But it was really interesting that people had such strong reactions to certain types of shows. I probably should have realised that something with that kind of tone about child abduction and, you know, it being set in Glasgow, which is only just down the road from us, would have that kind of reaction. But to see people actually crying, to see people, you know,
Really talking about it afterwards.
Physically
Yeah.
shaken by it.
yeah.
See, they were
And
really bothered by
I
it.
think as well us as well, we all come
Yeah.
off thinking, oh my god, we've done something really good here.
Yeah.
That, I think that particular one, when we got to the break was needed because we were exhausted from just the sheer emotion that played
It's
Absolutely.
needed, yeah.
Because people don't realise how totally kind of draining it is to play a character like that. You know, it's really kind of a big thing to go out on stage and perform it anyway, but it's when you're doing something like that that has a real meaning and
Yeah.
a reality into it and a human element, it's frightening. And we came off, we were really exhilarated, but I think it was a wee bit teary actually at one point.
Yeah.
Just at one point.
Probably all night.
It's kind of relief afterwards as well, because there's a lot of pressure if you're doing something that has a ring of truth to it, because you've almost got a responsibility to people that have been through those stories. So you don't want to give it the wrong kind of tone.
Yeah, and what was also nice that people responded positively. You know, people could have come up to us and said, that was a piece of trash, that was not true to life at all, that was completely, you know, that was entertainment, that was not what that should have been.
Yeah.
People were responding in the right ways to
But
the
they
material.
also, at the same respect, we could have come off and they could have said that was horrible. Why would you
Yeah,
want
I didn't
to
enjoy
portray
watching that and stuff.
That was too uncomfortable to watch, but they didn't. They all said that, yeah, it was at times quite uncomfortable because it was so true and played so well. It was quite upsetting to watch, but the knowledge that it gave people,
Yeah,
the
they could see
insight
the
it
reason
gave
behind it.
people,
Yeah, that's definitely
One of the
true.
one of the women who's funnily enough the cast members now in the cast, she actually said that she went out on her break and phoned her childminder on her break
Oh my god.
bless.
because she was concerned about her kids after watching the show, which is a compliment in a way, because
Yeah.
if it heightens people's awareness to those issues, then that's one of the things that we like to do.
I think it was really well written, and the focus of the audience was continually on the child as well, rather than all the outgoing interfering neighbours, you know, the
And
goings
the
on
media.
with the media, the mum and the dad and everything. It really did portray what was going on round about, but kept the main focus, I
Yeah.
think, on this child
It's like they
as
kinda got
being
involved.
neglected here,
Yeah.
and there's something serious going on while everybody else is going on about their own lives, that there's something really serious, and it actually does happen in real life too,
I think as well
which
the way
is
the
disturbing, and
Yeah.
I think we got that across.
I think as well the way that the play was structured as well, you were basically in every scene right up until you were taken.
Yeah.
And then there was a bit of a break where we explored the father's regret, we explored the mother's alcoholism, and then randomly the policeman just came across your body after a good solid 5 minutes of other people's scenes, so you kind
Yeah.
of fell, not into the background, because everything was responding from you being taken, but then when we found out what had happened to you at the end, it was really sad.
Yeah.
And sadly those things do happen.
Yeah.
I think you still had a bit of, I don't know if you would say sympathy to the mum and dad, but I mean, they did love the child.
They just didn't know how to
they just
express it.
didn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't like you totally hated the mum and dad, like there
Yeah,
might
you
be
did feel
many,
for- yeah.
you felt a bit for them,
I
but
think even in extreme cases you would still feel
You
sorry
saw-
for anyone who
You
would
saw
go
the
through that.
breakdown of the parents, though, and I think that's what made you empathise more towards them anyway, because you saw them break down.
Yeah.
Especially when the body was found and the police came to the door. You know, Louise, the mother, really
just
fell
crumbled,
apart.
yeah.
Louise had never really acted mainly before as well. That's what made her performance so scintillating,
Yeah.
that she had never done anything like that. And she kept asking us and we were like, you're doing fine, don't
yeah.
you worry, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which is really gratifying. I'm stepping back, yeah.
I thought it was extremely well written, obviously, to have that much resonance with an audience. It was obviously written well to have that effect.
it asked and answered a lot of questions, and I mean, for most people, the audience included, the time that you hear about these type of stories is through the papers or maybe something in the news when unfortunately the incident has happened. But in this case, you were involved in it and seeing the whole circumstances happening as it was going on, and I think that was what made it different. It was unusual. The writing, it just seemed to provide the whole story, the whole background as it was happening.
I'd only really, although I'd worked with Dale on another show before it, the other script that I remembered was obviously the one for the pantomime, and this was just complete polar opposite. The pantomime was hilarious and
Naughty.
Filthy.
Let's be honest, it was filthy.
And this was so serious, and it was quite difficult to read at first. You know, it is kind of uncomfortable having to think about child abduction or anything happening to a child, but as you read the script and realised you're going to be part of this, it made you feel quite good about yourself, knowing that you're going to help get the awareness out there, and it was very, very well written.
I think with you being as a parent as well is an interesting perspective, because people who don't have children can sympathise, but people who have children sympathise in a totally different way, and I wrote it as a non-parent trying to write it. And I think maybe for me it was a nice sort of pat in the back that I'd written something that
parents were getting really affected by.
Absolutely. Not being one myself, so to tap into
definitely.
that was really interesting.
I think at first when we all read it, we were a bit shocked and stunned, but as the time went on and it became more dramatic and
it took shape.
Yeah, it took shape, and it was a kind of different show to be involved in. In some areas, you know, it just sort of brought it all more to life, and every week as it progressed, it got built on, but we still didn't maybe expect the reaction it
the positive
actually
reaction
got.
that we got, absolutely. We were very lucky. I think a lot of what kept us sane through that particular production was the fact that we were also doing a comedy, but also that we had a lot of humour with each other. We all knew each other socially, we all knew each other well enough that we could make light of it off camera, but we could switch it on when we needed to, and we all respected each other enough as actors to be able to say, right,
feel comfortable and take risks and kind of just go for it.
Absolutely. And risk taking, I mean, it was such a nice thing for me that even though you guys are saying it was well written and all the rest of it, it was only just one part of it. I wrote a script, but you guys brought the characters to life. You added your own physicality and personality to it, and it made it jump off the page, and that's what you need when you're doing a stage production.
We kind of seem to bounce off each other quite well. We do work quite well, very well with each other.
Yeah, and no idea is ever dismissed. I think
No,
we always basically say, because working in this environment, I think we're all aware that people can be quite precious about their work.
Yeah, but you would totally let us have ideas and say, oh, what if we'd done this?
And sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't, but if it was for the better of production, quite happy to just stand back and let it go, which is really important. No, it was very deliberate, because with all bad stuff comes good stuff. You know, we need to be able to grieve, we need to be able to laugh and to help us process and mourn if we're going through something. And for that, first of all, it was more human that there'd be comedy, because if you had something that was just dark from beginning to end, I don't think it would be as true to life. Yeah,
you'd maybe disengage and see it as a piece of theatre rather than real life.
A human interest story. And the kind of characters that you guys were portraying, you know, two old grannies with your little tartan trolleys living in your tenement flat, doing your crossword. These were everyday, normal things that people could relate to. Everyone's got a granny or an elderly neighbour or somebody that reflects the kind of people that you were portraying.
Do you know, Elsie and Ivy definitely exist in every community.
Very much so, I think.
Do you know, it's my favourite line that I still remember. What was it? Come on, my baguettes are thawing! My baguettes are thawing! My mum still says that.
It's always nice as a writer when a particular line, even if it was just sort of throwaway in your mind, becomes sort of zeitgeist of what that show represents.
Oh, I've got to go, my baguettes are thawing.
That's a great line.
There was context for anyone who's not seen the show.
I know.
It was really funny. I totally forgot. No, I think that was definitely something deliberate. We wanted this to resonate with the people who were watching it because we knew that this would be the piece that would get people thinking. People were going to laugh or be scared by the other shows, but this would be the bit that people would be thinking long after, oh, that was really affecting, or what if this happened? And that was really important to us because, like I said, things like that do happen. We are saturated in the media by people's misfortune in the news, and it's everywhere. And for people to have a voice within it and for different perspectives to be touched upon, I think was really important.
Do you think in a strange way it gave the victim a voice?
It was
that's normally been silenced.
Yeah.
It was largely silenced, but through the play, the victim was given a voice. Unfortunately, just it was like in these occasions it's too late.
But what was interesting was that there were different perspectives. People didn't, when it happened to the young girl, people were really sympathetic towards her, but people were blaming the parents, or they were sympathetic towards the parents. There was a lot of juxtaposed feelings based on what people would be feeling if something like that had actually happened.
Yeah, it was very mixed emotionally with the parents.
I think so.
And it changed.
But like
it changed a long time.
They were sympathetic still, though, because nobody that shouldn't happen to anyone, no matter what their background.
Nobody should outlive a child. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's basically the key theme of the show for those characters.
Well, at the time when we were doing it, because of the serious nature of the play, we had to actually kind of pull back a wee bit and concentrate on our parts quite a lot of the time so that we could convey the comedy. We were trying to, the whole time that we were performing it, we had to be consciously as if we were doing it together in a way it was maybe kind of slightly different. It fitted into the bigger picture, but we kind of seen ourselves maybe as doing an act together.
Yeah, we double
for that
I feel like
part.
you did like a little comedy play within the play.
Within the play, because it was so dark, but to get the comedy into it and to keep focused on what we were doing.
It was to get the comedy right as well, not to go too slapstick. Just to get it just right. It was quite difficult, and it was quite a responsibility as well. But it worked.
Absolutely.
The timing on it was really important.
Yeah.
The our lines, when we come in, when we went off, the whole timing element of it was really quite critical.